My name is Tim, I'm an addict.
Hi, Tim.
I got a message from my sponsor this week who said, if I could fix me, I wouldn't need to talk to you. So much for the warm relationship one's supposed to have. No, I think that's quite right, to understand what one's in that relationship for. And the same with going to meetings. I mean, God love you all, but if I weren't fucked on my own with no fellowship, I wouldn't be here. I'd be off doing something else. My addiction is such that if I'm self-directed in my life, when self directs me to drink or use, I will drink or use, and then that'll be the end of me. So I need to be directed by something other than me. And that's why I have step 11, which says I'm to be directed by God. Now, that's a bit of a tough gig, because the direction from God is supposed to start the moment my eyes crack open in the morning until the moment I go to sleep. It's a permanent job. There's no room for self. The trouble is, it's like with insurance, you need to be insured 24 hours a day because you don't know when the burglars are going to turn up. And with addiction, I don't know when it's going to activate. So I need to make sure the defence is there for the moment that it does activate. If I'm in the habit of doing what I want to do, believing my own thoughts, taking them very seriously, thinking my thoughts are so interesting, I need to offer them up on a silver platter to other people, because we obviously all need a joint discussion about my thoughts, important as they are. If I live like that, when the thought comes up, let's use, I'll use, because I'm taking that to be my higher power. I thought for a long time that in step 3, when I make a decision to turn my will and life over to God, I'm going from being master of my own destiny to some snivelling servant. But the fact is, I've been a snivelling servant of alcohol and drugs, and whatever thought had happened to just occur to me, I'd obeyed my own thinking. But the evidence was, over the years of my using, and frankly also recovery, that those internal voices do not have my best interests at heart. They are also thick. They're sort of clever thick. A friend of mine said about a friend of his, he's so clever, he sometimes clevers himself into doing really stupid things. So I'm going to be following one voice or the other. I'm going to be following the voice of self or the voice of God. I get to pick. I can't do it without following one or the other. So the question is, which one has the better track record of looking after me? If I had a good track record of looking after me, I wouldn't have got here in the state I was in July 1993, which was when my last drink or drug was. If I was doing such a nifty job of living my life, why did I have to go to my first meeting? And that's that discussion over forever. Doesn't need to be revisited, doesn't need to be opened up again just to make sure. The very fact that one's landed in recovery, case closed. Whatever caused me to live life in such a way that literally the only thing left was the last house on the block, which is what recovery is. We can't refer anyone from here. We're the place people are referred to when everything else fails. So step 11, I don't know if you've ever been to any step 11 meetings. I try to avoid them. Now, it's not because I don't like step 11, but because most of them have got nothing to do with step 11. In my humble opinion. I went to, it said Big Book Step 11 meeting. I thought, that sounds good. Big Book, well, that's good. Step 11, that's good. I thought this will be marvellous. I won't say which fellowship or where it was to protect the innocent and the guilty. But every week they had someone come in to demonstrate a different meditation technique. So there were Buddhists and there were Christian meditators and there were all sorts of different things. I've often heard in Step 11 meetings these instructions, when there's like a meditation bit for 2 minutes or 5 minutes or 20 minutes, sometimes these instructions are inserted into the script. If you've never meditated before, then what we suggest is this. You adopt this particular position and you breathe in this particular way and you try to just not engage in your thinking, but just concentrate on the moment or concentrate on the breath. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of those. There's nothing wrong with Buddhist meditation. There's nothing wrong with Christian meditation. But it's not the big book. It says something completely different, and I have a copy here, so you'll know I'm not making it up. On awakening, let us think about the 24 hours ahead. We consider our plans for the day. So this is the meditation bit of it in the morning. So meditation has got nothing to do with Thailand. It's got nothing to do with little singing bowls and cushions, or imagining Jesus, or watching your thoughts like passing clouds. It's the opposite. Think about things properly. Let's have a proper think, which is a relief, because I don't know about you, I'm going to be thinking anyway. I can't shut down my thoughts. There's no point in even trying. I gave up a long time ago. The job is to direct the thoughts along a constructive path, because if I don't, I will eat myself alive with my own thinking. So rather than it knows us, this book met some alcoholics before it wrote itself and thought, right, we're going to need to do something that's going to work for people like that. Once I'd made an amend to someone, I said, how did my behaviour affect you? She said, we're trained to deal with people like you. I hadn't even been drinking when I did the thing. So it's met people like me. It knows what I'm like. It knows. Try to shut down your thinking or be locked inside your own brain looking at your thinking from the outside. You'll go completely mad. Give it up. Leave that for people who are well. It says something else. Concentrate on what? The 24 hours ahead. That means I'm not to think about the past. I'm not to think about the future. I'm to think only, what does God want me to do today? Literally, this is construct the plan for the day. Well, that's not very ambitious. No, it's not. Quite right. Simple, nice and simple for a goof like me. I can deal with that. I can deal with step 11 just being about get a plan for the day, stick to the plan for the day. At the end of the day, how did you do with the plan for the day? And what I discovered, this was, when I got clean, there wasn't much big book, but the principles of the big book were suffused in how the fellowship operated. So no one was referring to the book because it had been assimilated into how things were done. And so the idea when I was new was very simple. It's you'll have a sponsor, and with the sponsor, you'll come up with some kind of plan for the day. So you don't ever need to think about what you need to do. You're going to have the plan. And then all you have to do is stick to the plan. If you stick to the plan, you won't drink, you won't take drugs, because drinking and taking drugs are not on the plan. So you don't have to not drink. You have to stick to the plan, which is different.
Sorry to interrupt. Does someone have the Tunbridge roofing ban? Sorry.
So the only way I could drink or take drugs is if the thought occurs to me to drink or take drugs, and I'm in the habit of saying, hello, little thought, what do you want me to do? You want me to drink or take? Very good. What I was trained to do when I was new was not drink or use no matter what, but not by thinking about not drinking or using, but by concentrating on doing the task at hand just for 5 minutes. So we use the Just for Today card. You can do something for 24 hours that would appall you if you had to do it for a lifetime. You can do something for 5 minutes that would appall you if you had to do it for a day. So it was get to the next meeting, get to the next meeting. Sometimes I just couldn't work out what to do between now and the next meeting, or I couldn't face it. So I went and sat on the steps of the meeting, knowing all I have to do is not move off the step. And then eventually the meeting will start, and then I'll be okay. Just stay on the step. No matter what is going on, stick to the plan, stick to the plan, stick to the plan. Regardless of what I think or feel, because what I think or feel is completely irrelevant. So this morning meditation, now it's interesting, it says we consider our plans for the day. This presupposes I already have plans and we're just finishing the final touches. There's nothing worse than waking up in the morning with the dread of I have no idea what today holds. Terrifying. Unstructured free time is very, very bad for people like me. So I still, at almost 33 years, need a lot of structure. Well, shouldn't I be better by now? No, not necessarily. But even if I should be better and I'm not, that's just a fact. So let's just get used to that. I've got used to the fact that I operate very well with structure. I've got rid of the notion that I'm supposed to be some kind of divine, happy-go-lucky creature that just floats through life, guided by God in the moment because I'm so connected with the ethereal world that I don't need to worry about bills or plans or pensions or insurance or having a job. I'm not that person. I'm never going to be that person. I'm a go here, do that, rinse and repeat. And I know myself now. I know my limitations. So I don't get ideas above my station. So I have a very simple week. Every day, I pretty much know what I'm going to do. And I wake up in the morning. I wake up around 4 o'clock. And I'm sort of half awake until 5:30. I get up at 5:30. And I imagine my higher power. I've got a little place that I imagine myself being where my higher power shows up. And I just say, well, this is the plan for the day. It's the same as every other Friday. It was the same as every other Tuesday. Anything else? Anything I need to add? Anything I need to change? And there are a few little things. Maybe call this person, do this first, not that. Get yourself organised. It's very straightforward. And if nothing else comes, if there's no inspiration, that's because I don't need to know anything else. Very simple. The other thing I cover in the morning is what we might call matters arising or outstanding matters. So anything which is currently troubling me. And normally one can make a list, there'll be none, or there'll be one, or there'll be four, but there's like a finite list. There's stuff which is going on which you can kind of deal with and don't need to think about, but I will usually have 2 or 3 topics which keep nagging like a barking dog. So I'll say to God in the morning, do I need to do anything about these? What's the right attitude? What's the right action? And to turn something over to God is not to put it over there and try to block it out of my consciousness. It's partly that. But first of all, I've got to say, God, do I have a role here? Do I need to adopt a particular attitude towards this? Do I need to think about it a certain way? Do I need to look at it a certain way? Is there anything I need to do? If there's something I need to do, write it down. It'll get done later on. Then I can let go of it. So turning things over to God is not about abdicating responsibility. It's not about ringing the bell and then Carson runs up from the servants' quarters and removes the dirty plate. That's not how, this is not Downton Abbey. I'm in servants' quarters. When I ask God to do something, God immediately says, well, it'll be over to you and this is how. So I say to God, please move the mountain. And God says, here's the shovel. This is where you start digging. So I'm going to be moving all the mountain. Let's not make any bones about this. I have to take all the action because God doesn't have any hands. So I have to do the action. But it's under the direction of God. It's powered by the strength of God. So the morning meditation is chiefly about, what am I going to do today? In what order? Is there anything I've missed? Is there any attitude I need to adopt? Is there anything I need to just quarantine and not think about? Whenever I start to think about it, just say to God, you're looking after this. I'm going to trust you. I'm going to get back to the task at hand. I want to leave the morning meditation with a plan for the day which is firm and fixed and finalised, and a solution to all the problems. In other words, the right attitude, the right action. If I don't know what the right attitude is, if I don't know what the right action is, first of all, look in the book, because in 99% of the cases, it's already in there. The attitudes are just all through the book. I mean, just a very simple example. It is useless to argue. Well, that solves a lot of problems. Criticism and fault-finding are to be avoided like the plague. That takes off my to-do list 9 out of the 10 things I thought I was going to be doing, which is giving people a piece of my mind. I haven't got enough to spare these days. So the principles are already there. There's no mystery as to what God's will is. It's almost all in the book. If I think I genuinely need divine revelation, call someone sensible with a sense of humour whose feet are on the ground, who doesn't say anything abstract or anything weird. Someone who's super practical. Someone you'd call if your car broke down. That sort of person, not the person with spiritual insight. Not interested. I'm interested in people who can get shit done. Ask one of them how to handle the situation and get a much better read. And that's because that's what spirituality is. It's intensely practical. It's not airy-fairy. It's about getting the right thing done efficiently and effectively. I'll give you a really good example of what I think was one of the most spiritual actions I've ever seen. I was in a meeting and there was a gentleman, as is often the case in the meeting, who was suffering from schizophrenia, and he was having a moment, shall we say. He was seeing things that weren't there. It was becoming a bit disruptive. Now, I'm sure you and I have seen that mishandled, and within 20 minutes an ambulance has been called. Someone in the room who has got a lot of experience and is very connected to their higher power took just the right tone of voice and said, Neville, just quieten down. It's all fine. Let's carry on with the meeting. And she did it in the right tone of voice, and he did. Just sat down, sat quietly. She went and sat next to him. That's spirituality, having a connection to know exactly what the right thing is to do, what tone of voice to adopt, what attitude to adopt, and what could have been an absolute shit show was solved in a moment. You want practical people for guidance. What else? The evening review. So, step 11 in the book, 86 to 88, memorize it. Not so you can show off, but because you need it. It's helpful. You can't work the step if you don't know what it is. If you have to look in the book to remind yourself of what it is, occasionally it's helpful to read it out so you've got the exact wording. But one's got to have this embedded, and I've got it embedded because I've taken so many people through these pages, I know exactly what's in there. Morning, set up for the day. All through the day, if I've got a problem, when agitated, that's any emotional disturbance. When doubtful, don't know what to do, right thought, right action, back on track. And at the end of the day, you see, that's where I used to do these very self-indulgent written reviews at the end of the day, and then I would send them to people who I was instructing, I suppose, to read them. I thought this would improve their day. Now, one of the lines said, when we retire at night, by the way, 1930s dictionary, I looked up night. You'd think you know what night is. It says sundown. So when the day is over, you're about to go into the evening. Do it then. Don't do it 11 o'clock at night when your mind is no longer working. Do it at the end of the working day. So you go into the evening with a clean slate. Etch a sketch, swipe, done, clean. Retire, stepping back from the business of the day. Were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? You know, at school they say, read the question, you know, in the exams, and you get 0%. And they said, you didn't read the question. God bless us, we can't read this. When I saw, were we resentful, selfish, dishonest, or afraid? For years, I read that as explain at enormous length, with or without columns, precisely why I'm so upset about other people's behaviour. That's not what it says. Was I resentful? That admits one of two answers, yes or no. Was I frightened? Yes or no. And I'm like, you mean I don't get to think about it again? No. I don't get to indulge it? I don't get to pore over it? No. Corrective measure. What's the corrective measure? Forgive the fucker. What's the corrective measure with fear? Trust that everything will be all right. Stop fussing about it like a ninny. Just get on with your day. Trust God. Selfish, you've been selfish. What's the corrective measure? Do the right thing. Do you know what the right thing is? Yes, I know what the right thing is. Keep my mouth shut. Do what's in front of me well. There's no mystery here. There's no room for self-indulgence. And it's the same with the other questions. They're mostly yes or no questions. And the focus is to construct how I'm going to do tomorrow better. So there's no room for self in any of this. I misused step 11 to go off into spiritual la-la land. And I've used it to go potholing in my own psyche. Don't do that. It doesn't need to be done. If I need to know something deep about what's going on inside me, God will show me when I'm sponsoring someone else, and I'll go, oh, I'm like that. I understand it now. I haven't got anywhere by delving. I've got somewhere by helping others. I see myself reflected in them, so I don't need to delve. So it's okay not to stare at your own resentments and fears. It's really okay just to let them go. That's all I've got. Thanks for listening.